The bus smelled like rain and regret. Zara dropped into the last available window seat, chest heaving, hair half undone from a bun she had fixed 3 times that night. She was wearing an oversized cream corduroy jacket 2 sizes too big, the sleeves rolled up to her elbows, a faded graphic tee underneath that said, Seoul 2021, in cracked black font. Her wide-leg olive cargo pants were damp at the ankles. Her platform sneakers, once white, were scuffed down to the rubber. A small gold nose ring caught the overhead light. Her eyes were red but dry. She was done crying in public. She had decided that 6 months ago. Outside, Los Angeles blurred past in streaks of neon and wet asphalt. The bus groaned forward. She stared at her phone. One message from her mom. "You missed it." He waited. Zara locked the screen and shoved it into her jacket pocket. Her dad's retirement ceremony. 22 years on the force. She had been stuck at her internship, printing decks for a VP who did not even say thank you. The seat next to her shifted. She did not look up. "You boarded the 42, said a voice, low and unhurried, like someone who never wasted words. "This goes to Culver City. Not downtown." Zara looked up then. He was already looking straight ahead. Dark hoodie, matte black, no logo, the kind that costs more than it looks. Clean dark jeans. Leather sneakers that were too clean for this bus. He had a silver watch on his left wrist, minimal, architectural. His jaw was set like something permanent. His eyes, when they briefly cut to hers, were the color of deep water. He did not look like someone who took the bus. "I know," she said. She did not know. She absolutely did not know. He glanced at her now, fully. "You're going the wrong way." "Maybe," she said, "the right direction was never where I was trying to go." He was quiet for a second. "That's either very deep or very lost." "Both," she said. "Probably both." He almost smiled. Not quite. Like his face had forgotten how. The bus lurched around a corner. The overhead light flickered. Outside, the rain picked back up, loud against the windows. "I'm Zara." He looked at her for a beat too long. "Kael." No last name. No explanation. Just Kael, like that was enough. Something in the air between them shifted, quiet and electric, the way pressure changes before a storm breaks. And neither of them moved to get off at the next stop. The diner was called Ray's. It had been open since 1987 and smelled like it. Zara sat across from Kael in a corner booth, yellow vinyl cracked along the seat edges, a laminated menu neither of them had touched. A ceiling fan rotated slowly overhead. The walls were covered in signed photos of people nobody remembered anymore. She had no idea how she had ended up here. 1 minute the bus, the next, walking through rain, him holding his jacket over her head without asking, her not telling him to stop. The coffee arrived. Black for him. She dumped 4 sugars into hers and watched him clock that without judgment. "You don't talk much," she said. "I talk when there's something worth saying." Classic answer from someone who's used to people waiting for them to speak. He looked at her. "You do that a lot." "Do what?" "Read people before they give you anything." She shrugged. "Grew up in a house where the mood shifted fast. You learn to read the room or you get caught in it." Something crossed his face. Not pity. Recognition. "Me too," he said. They sat with that for a second. "Why were you on that bus?" she asked. He turned his coffee cup in slow circles on the table. "My driver quit tonight. Effective immediately. Left a note on my front door." He paused. "I needed air and I did not want to call anyone." "You have a driver." "Had. And instead of getting an Uber like a normal person, you got on a city bus at midnight." I wanted to be somewhere no one knew who I was. She studied him. He was not performing humility. He was exhausted in a real, cellular way that money could not fix. Who are you? She asked. Right now? He met her eyes. Just a guy in a diner at 2 a.m. And tomorrow? He picked up his coffee. Someone you'll probably Google. She should have laughed. She did not. My dad retired tonight, she said, and she had not planned to say it. 22 years as a cop. They gave him a plaque in a room full of people who actually showed up. She looked down. I was not one of them. The fan turned overhead. Why not? My boss, she said. A presentation. It felt urgent at the time. She exhaled. It was not urgent. You believed someone who told you their emergency was more important than your own life. She looked up. I work for them. You work with them, he said. There's a difference. One means they own your time. The other means you're choosing to give it. He paused. Big difference. Nobody had ever said it like that. Nobody had ever made her feel the loss of her own time so clearly. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it. A text from a number she did not recognize. Make sure she gets home safe. And keep her away from the Meridian Project. She doesn't know what she's walking into. Zara stared at the screen. She looked up. Kael was watching her. Everything okay? He asked. She turned the phone face down on the table. Yeah, she said. Fine. But her hands were not steady anymore. She Googled him at 7 a.m., still in yesterday's clothes, sitting on her bathroom floor with her back against the tub. Kael Marin. Founder of Marin Capital. 31 years old. Worth somewhere between 800 million and a number that stopped making sense. On the board of the same media group that owned the company she interned for. He was the Meridian Project. Marin Capital was the investor pushing the acquisition that would gut her department. 40 jobs, including her supervisors, including the only mentor she had ever had in a professional space, all on the line because Kael Marin had decided the numbers made sense. She sat there for a long time. Then she got up, fixed her hair into a low bun, put on a structured black tank tucked into high-waisted cream wide-leg trousers, a thin silver chain her dad had given her at graduation, and her cleanest pair of white loafers. She looked like someone who had slept. She had not slept. She went to the address his assistant had texted her last night. He had asked to show her something in the morning. She had said yes before the text on her phone made her stomach drop. The building was all glass and steel, the lobby so quiet it felt like money had absorbed the sound. A woman at the desk sent her up without a word. Kael was standing by a floor-to-ceiling window, the city spread gold and massive behind him. He was in a charcoal crewneck, dark tailored pants, dress shoes again, effortlessly put together in a way that felt almost offensive. He turned when she came in. Almost smiled. She did not let him. Meridian, she said. The almost smile stopped. Zara. Are you acquiring Vault Media? He was quiet for 1 second. That 1 second told her everything. That's what I do, he said. 40 people lose their jobs. Restructuring is part of. Do not, she said, her voice steady in a way she did not feel, give me the investor version of that sentence. He looked at her and for the first time she saw it, the flicker of something that looked like genuine discomfort. Last night, she said. Did you know who I was? Silence. Kael. My assistant flagged your name when you mentioned Vault Media during our background routing check. I did not know before we talked, but I knew before we left the diner. He paused. I should have told you. The room felt very still. Why didn't you? He looked out the window. Because it was the first real conversation I'd had in months, he said quietly. And I was selfish. She picked up her bag. I'm going to help them fight it, she said. Whatever data they need. Whatever I can pull. I don't care what it costs me. She walked toward the door. Zara. She stopped but did not turn around. The reason I'm doing this acquisition, he said, is not what you think it is. She stood there a beat. Then she walked out. The documents landed in Zara's inbox at 11 p.m., sent from a name she did not recognize. She sat at her kitchen table in an oversized gray hoodie, hair down, small gold hoops in, bare feet on the cold floor. A half-eaten bowl of ramen going cold next to her laptop. She read for 2 hours straight. Vault Media's CEO had been siphoning funds from the employee pension pool for 3 years. Not millions. Not close to millions. A number with too many zeros. Marin Capital had uncovered it during due diligence. The acquisition was not a gutting. It was a rescue, structured to freeze the CEO's access, protect the remaining accounts, and legally redistribute ownership before the whole thing collapsed on its own. The 40 jobs were not at risk because of Kael. They were at risk because of the man everyone inside Vault trusted completely. Zara stared at the ceiling for a long time. Then she called the only journalist she knew. I need to talk to you, she said. But not about Kael Marin. In the morning she went back to the glass building. She was wearing a deep burgundy blazer over a white fitted tee, straight-leg dark jeans, small hoop earrings, her platform sneakers. She looked like herself, not a version of herself dressed to impress. She walked in before his assistant could stop her. Kael was on a call. He looked up and said, I'll call you back, and hung up immediately. You could have just told me, she said. I signed an NDA on the disclosure. I could not tell anyone outside legal. And the text? The anonymous one? He leaned back. My head of legal. She went rogue. She felt you deserved to know something was wrong even if I couldn't tell you what. He paused. She's getting a raise. Zara set her phone on his desk. The screen showed a draft article, not published, waiting. I was going to run the story as an expose on you, she said. He looked at the screen. I know. Your journalist friend called my PR team this morning. She almost laughed. I pulled it, she said. I'm writing the real one instead. About the CEO. About the pension fraud. About what actually happened. That will end your internship. I know. They will not hire you after. I know. He looked at her for a long time. Why? She pulled her phone back off the desk. Because 40 people's retirements are in that fund, she said. And because the right story matters more than my career right now. She met his eyes. Also because you didn't actually do the thing I was ready to destroy you for. The corner of his mouth moved. You were going to destroy me? I was going to try. He stood up slowly and walked around the desk. Stopped 2 feet away. The story goes live when? Tomorrow morning. He nodded once. Tell your journalist to call my legal team tonight. I will give them everything. She blinked. That will sink your NDA. I already talked to my lawyers. There is an exception for whistleblower-adjacent disclosures. He held her gaze. I've been waiting for someone to write this story for 4 months. I just couldn't be the one to do it. Everything in her chest recalibrated. Kael. Yeah. You're kind of a lot. I know, he said. You okay with that? She looked at him, this exhausted, complicated, surprisingly decent person in expensive shoes who had sat down next to her on a bus at midnight and turned her whole week inside out. Ask me tomorrow, she said. And she walked out again. But this time she was smiling. The article went live at 6 a.m. on a Thursday. By 9 a.m. it had been shared 40,000 times. By noon the CEO of Vault Media had resigned. By 3 p.m. 2 federal agencies had opened preliminary inquiries. The pension funds were frozen pending review. The 40 employees were told their positions were protected during transition. Zara found out from her phone, sitting on a bench outside the building she had just been let go from. The internship coordinator had been apologetic and deeply uncomfortable. She had smiled and said she understood. She did understand. She had made the choice knowing exactly what it cost. She sat outside in the thin winter sun, in her burgundy blazer and dark jeans, one earbud in, watching strangers move down the sidewalk with their coffees and their ordinary Thursday urgencies. Her chest felt scraped clean. Not empty. Just new. Her phone rang. Kael. She picked up. "You okay?" he said. "They let me go." "I know. My PR team monitors media coverage around our deals." "Of course they do." A pause. "I have something I want to show you," he said. "If you're not busy." She looked down the empty street. "I just got fired," she said. "I am extremely not busy." He laughed. A real one. She had not heard it before. It was a good sound. She met him on the rooftop of his building at 4 p.m. The city was golden and wide in every direction. The wind was sharp enough to feel. He was in a gray wool coat over a simple black sweater, dark trousers, the same silver watch, hands in his pockets, looking out like he was waiting for something. She came to stand beside him. He said nothing for a while. That was one of his things, she was learning. He sat inside silence like it did not scare him. "I started Marin Capital because my mom lost everything," he said finally. "Not just money. Everything. A bad business partner, a bad deal, no protections, no one in her corner. I was 19. He looked out at the skyline. "I told myself I'd learn the game well enough to play it differently. Protect people inside the machine instead of just feeding the machine." Did it work? He was quiet. "Sometimes," he said. "Less than I wanted. More than I expected." She leaned on the railing. "I wanted to write stories that actually changed something," she said. "I kept getting assigned slideshows about celebrity skincare. And now? Now I wrote one story," she said. "And it actually did something." "You lost your job for it." "Yeah." She tilted her face up slightly. "Worth it though." He turned to look at her. The light was low and warm and his eyes were less guarded than she had ever seen them. "I don't do this," he said. "Do what?" "Whatever this is." She turned to look at him fully. "You got on a bus," she said. "For the first time in probably years. Because you wanted to be somewhere no one knew you." She paused. "And then you sat next to me." "I did. And then you followed me into a terrible diner. You didn't stop me." "I didn't," she said. "No." The wind moved between them. "I'm complicated," he said. "My life is complicated. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm a recently unemployed 23-year-old who just blew up her professional reputation on purpose," she said. "I don't exactly have my life figured out either." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "Ask me tomorrow." She blinked. Then she realized. She had said that to him 2 days ago. Walking out of his office. That small, open door she had left. "Okay," she said. "I'll ask you tomorrow." He nodded once. Looked back out at the city. She stayed beside him. Below them, Los Angeles moved and hummed and carried on, enormous and indifferent, the way cities do. But up here the air was clean and cold and still. And for the first time in a long time, Zara did not feel like she was running late to something. She felt exactly where she was supposed to be. The end.